with our dogs of the week. I feel like last week it was just me and Drew. We were talking about it, and not the best performances. At least when it came to statistically speaking. Some maybe off the paper, non-box score watching performances that were good. But I do think this week we're back to some eye-popping stat lines around college football. I'm going to elect to go last on this because I'm still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of good guys, but I know you two have it ready. So I'm going to throw it to whoever wants to start it, and we'll get going.
Yeah, I can go. The covering machine that is Kurt Signetti and the Fighting Hoosiers. This one's like statistical and also situational. Got to give a shout out to Curtis Work. I mean, he went 19 for 29 for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns. And that by itself, I think, would be warranted in a 47-10 rout of Michigan State after they spotted Michigan State 10 points to start the game.
Yeah.
And they also cashed my bet. So shout out to Indiana.
Double win, baby.
That's right. That's right. But situationally, this was also his first week back from, I believe, a hand injury. So, there were a couple question marks around Indiana's future with him out, but they were able to limp through, and he's obviously back and able to take care of business, which is very important considering who they have on the slate looking ahead in a couple of weeks, but we can get into that later.
Yeah. I have a feeling we will get in that later, but I said it last week. Indiana, I think, is my favorite story of the year. I've seen some people talking. They don't like Signetti. I'm a huge fan of his kind of no nonsense, no bullshit approach.
Yeah.
I said last week he kind of reminds me of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And I mess with it. He's a football guy at his core, and he did what he did with exactly. So I mean, I love it, and he did what he did with JMU, and then hopped to Indiana, who hadn't had really much success since the Michael Penix days, and here they are taking the college football world by storm. So I really love to see it.
They were picked preseason to finish second to last in the Big Ten, and look at where we are. I mean, yeah, if you're not a fan of Kurt Signetti, you probably just lost to him. So
honestly, yeah, we got some salty Big Ten fans out there, but valid, I guess.
Definitely. And Curtis Rourke also, coming back 2 weeks after thumb surgery. That's impressive. You got to respect
and having that showing, yeah. And it's not like Michigan State's any slouch either.
Are they
no,
not? I haven't.
They're
really
flirting with 500.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're not
4 and 5.
What I'm saying is they're not like a
terrible
1-win team.
Yeah, but
they're trying
for eligibility.
Yeah, they're still trying to bounce back from Mel Tucker, but they're getting there.
They're getting there.
Yeah, I think as a Georgia fan, I've disowned him.
Yeah.
A great look. Who?
Freak.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
We will leave it at that. You Google Mel Tucker, you'll
All right, dog of the week. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah. My dog of the week, going down to the SEC. We got to go with this player, right? They lit up the scoreboard all day against Arkansas. They beat them, I believe it was 63-31. And a lot of it had to do with Jordan Watkins, the wide receiver. He went for 8 receptions, 254 yards, and 5 touchdowns. They were just bombing it to this man at any opportunity they had.
Insane.
So every so often we get a gaudy stat line from a wide receiver, but usually, I think it's been since the days of Devontae Smith since I've seen something like this, 8 for 254 and 5 touchdowns is just absolutely those are video game numbers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of that Randy Moss Thanksgiving stat line. I have it pulled up at 3 catches, 163 yards, 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, he to do that on 8 receptions is just unheard of, really. Yeah. So,
I mean, and I think situationally too, Ole Miss historically, at least the past decade, has not had a lot of success up in Fayetteville. So,
oh really?
For them,
Arkansas isn't an easy win, anyways. I don't think, but yeah.
Yeah, But yeah, I mean, going up there and taking care of business to keep your season alive.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ole Miss offense.
Yeah, Ole
Mhm.
Miss kind of riding high into the Georgia game this coming weekend. I'm sure we'll get into that as we kind of have some skin in the game this week for this one. So.
Yeah. We might have a few opinions about that, but
Maybe
you'll
so.
have to stick around to find out. But yeah, that's pretty insane from Ole Miss, and they're hitting their stride. And like Jackson Dart said earlier in the year, they gotta win out. So it should be a good one. But sticking with Dogs of the Week, I will give mine real quick. I'm gonna keep it in the SEC. Take it over to South Carolina, who just dashed the hopes and dreams of the Texas A&M faithful, blowing them out, beating them by 24 points. And we had some pretty impressive performances from a few different folks on the Gamecocks. However, I think I'm going to give it to Joshua Simon. Well, no, I'll probably give it to Raheem Sanders. We already have a wide receiver, but Joshua Simon had 4 receptions, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So still an impressive stat line. Not maybe as impressive as what Ole Miss did, but a lot of good production out of him. And then Raheem Sanders, the premier back from South Carolina, continued to do what he did. Not really a Genty-esque figure, but nobody is. 20 carries, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, and just pretty much complete domination from South Carolina. I think they're one of the better 5-3 teams that I've ever seen. They are a few plays away from only having, I don't know what their worst loss is, but I don't think that there's a lot of losses that you could point to where they just got blown out. I think I'm looking at it now. The one true loss really would be Ole Miss, lost 27-3. But you kind of get hosed against LSU down the stretch with some questionable calls from the refs, and then you took Alabama to the final play. Yeah. So they're sneaky, and as a Georgia fan, I'm going to go ahead and say that I have no shame in admitting that I am glad that Georgia does not have to play South Carolina or Vanderbilt this year. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they face off against each other this week, which will be a really fun one.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
What's the spread?
Yes.
South Carolina 3.5 point favorite in Nashville.
South Carolina favorites?
Favorite on the road in Nashville. Yeah.
Vandy plus 3.5
where,
might be my lock. I'll tell y'all right now. It might be.
Yeah. That I would not blame you one bit for that. Because Vanderbilt taking down Alabama at home and damn near should have beat Texas at home.
Pavia is so good too. I love watching Pavia.
He's the heart. He's the heartbeat of that team. I love him.
I mean, he was banged up, and he still was able. I mean, the thing is, I actually really enjoyed the way that they played against Auburn this week because they showed that they could win without Pavia having his best game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he did not play well because, I mean, in the Texas game, he had to come out for a couple of plays. I think it was a whole series where he had to go in the 10th, and he's nowhere near as mobile as he was earlier in the season. But they were still able to find a way to win. But yes, I'm also showing 3.5 on my preferred book, but I still like it. It's interesting.
I like that line.
Yeah,
I do. But we can get more into that in the preview section of this video. But I think that wraps it for Dogs of the Week. Let us know in the comments who your choice would be for Dog of the Week. You have the pick of the litter here. A lot of really good performances this week, so let us know what you think.